Hello, I'm David Bronner. I'm president of Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps. We manufacture soaps made with fair trade and organic coconut, olive, and hemp seed oils. Because of hemp seed oil has really high content of omega-3 and omega-6 essential fatty acids, which gives our soap a very emollient, smooth lather and afterfeel. And we're big advocates of re-commercializing industrial hemp for many reasons. It's a sustainable feedstock for diverse industries that can replace more polluting, unsustainable materials and methods. So we're here at HempFest, where we come every year. We really hold down the industrial hemp side of the cannabis movement. But I'm also proud to be here as well because we are strong supporters of the I-522 effort in Washington State that will label genetically engineered foods. That really is what I want to communicate here today, is to really raise the consciousness and awareness around the importance of labeling genetically engineered foods. So I'm going to be explaining, number one, what I-522 does, and basically it will give consumers the informed choice by making food labels disclose whether or not an ingredient or if they're produced with genetic engineering or not. This is a right that citizens in over 64 other countries have, including every country in Europe, Japan, even China. Their citizens have the right to know whether or not their food's been genetically engineered. We have a right to know if an ingredient is artificial or not. We have a right to know if juice is from concentrate or not. We have a right to know if salmon is wild caught or farm raised. We have a basic right to know important things about our food. What I'm really concerned about and what really motivates me is that in this country, 6 huge chemical companies have basically bought the seed industry. And those chemical companies are Monsanto, DuPont, Dow, BASF, Bayer, and Syngenta, and they have bought the seed industry and are genetically engineering tolerance to their weed killers. So basic genetic engineering, what I've realized in the last 5 years, is not about putting vitamins into rice to feed starving people in Asia. Basically, 90% of corn planted today, over 90% of soybean are genetically engineered to resist Monsanto's Roundup. Massive amounts of weed killer are being sprayed on these crops, which is creating super weeds. The overspraying of this weed killer, like these chemical companies, short-term profit and short-term interest, they engineer and convince farmers, hey, you can just grow the same crop year after year after year. You don't have to use any other weed control method. Just blast glyphosate, blast our weed killer year after year after year. And what's happened is what any weed scientist who wasn't bought and paid for by the chemical industry knew and was saying, and has now been proven right, is that now we have weeds that have developed resistance to glyphosate. So now we have these super weeds that they're blasting more and more and more weed killer on. This is resulting in more and more weed killer residues in our food. So now the chemical industry's response is, rather than move to a more sustainable, integrated pest management cycle where you interrupt pest cycles, sustainably, naturally, you plant perimeter plants that pests prefer. We're okay with chemical controls if they're used judiciously within an overall weed management strategy. But these chemical companies are just basically saying, oh, just keep blasting our weed killer in huge amounts. So these super weeds are just everywhere now. They're taking over the country. And now their answer is, okay, well, now we're going to engineer the next generation crops. And these next generation crops are going to be resistant to dicamba and 2,4-D. Dicamba is one of the worst weed killers as far as toxicity. It's a potent neurotoxin. 2,4-D is the main ingredient in Agent Orange. And these are weed killers that we were supposed to be able to be moving away from. This technology was introduced, and Monsanto was saying, oh, we're going to use Roundup, it's safer, and you don't need to use dicamba and 2,4-D. Well, guess what? Now their short-sighted, short-term business model has now produced weeds that they can't kill with glyphosate, so now they're engineering resistance so we can blast our food with much more toxic weed killers. So for me, it was just like a real wake-up call. Like, hey, this isn't just about engineering bigger vegetables and crap. This is about chemical companies selling chemicals, and Americans need to wake up and demand transparency in food labeling, and just like all these other citizens all around the world enjoy. Maybe may at some point in time be a good application of this technology, but even so, that, like, let's say the orange crop, supposedly they may be engineering a spinach gene into orange crops that can help do whatever. Even if that turns out to be a good use of the technology, that the orange industry should not stand in the way of consumers' right to know. They should be up front and make their case, what they're doing. And what's happening now is that the chemical and pesticide industry is spending tens of millions of dollars to keep us in the dark about what they're doing. what we're really excited about here in Washington is that there's just this huge grassroots coalition of moms, consumers, health advocates, environmentalists, nurses that have come together and put this opportunity to the people of Washington that on Election Day in November they can decide whether or not they are able to make informed, powerful choices about what kind of foods they eat, what kind of food they feed their families.
They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes while you weren't looking. Your dinner was disguised. You won't see it mentioned in the supermarket aisle. It's hiding in the boxes where the GMOs are piled. You've got a right to know. A right